Todd Soper is with the Department of Ed in New York City, helps run the charter school system.
Yes, he's a grade K through 4 assistant principal at neighborhood charter schools. So now we've covered public schools and education, private schools in New York City, Trinity, and now charter schools, which do receive public funds. And he says, quote, we have very specific questions when we hire people. He says, and ultimately our diversity, equity, inclusion program question is very telling. If somebody has done a lot of work within themselves, within the profession, if people don't answer this question right, well, we do not hire them. Which is another example of this sort of discrimination based upon creed, based upon ideology that Soper gets into this tape.
Okay, so you have we'll play that one, and then I want to play the next one too, because then he also says, and you'll be fired if you manage to get past the screening process, and it turns out you don't share my worldview. Here's the first soundbite that James just referenced.
What would you do, though, as a principal if you knew there was a conservative applying? Would you hire such a person? Yeah.
We have very specific questions, and like ultimately, like our diversity, equity, and inclusion question, like our DEI question, is like it's very telling if somebody has like done a lot of work within themselves, within the profession.
But even conservative, like even
and it comes out like if people don't answer that question right, they're just an automatic not.
Like what? Give me an example of not answering that question. Like one of the
words. If they say that like diversity is about, if they say something that lends itself to be colorblind, which could happen, like, oh, it's like, you know, like everyone is equal, like those things that are well-intentioned statements, but they're missing the depth of understanding of how like the intersections of our identity live out in the world. It's like that person would get hired.
So like Dr. Carol Swain, who's a person of color, extremely accomplished. Dr. Glenn Lowry of Brown and Harvard. So like those people could not get hired by this moron because they don't see color in exactly the way this guy does.
Yeah, another example of discrimination, another example of what we've seen. The isolated incident does not appear to be so isolated. I'm sure maybe the majority of people think this way. By the way, Megyn, we've reached out to the school. We received a comment this morning that this person is indeed still employed at the school, but we've seen that before, and then there's outcries from parents, and then they are let go. So a lot of times it's the national outrage, the statewide outrage that forces them to leave the school.
Here's the one about where he gets specific about kind of making it intolerable for this one professor, this one teacher, who then left. This woman needs to come forward. She needs to contact James O'Keefe or me, and I'll put you in touch with James. Here it is. Listen, soundbite 2.
There's this one teacher who almost like refused to talk about Juneteenth a few years ago and didn't want to like teach a lesson like in addition to their neurodiversity and their special needs, like our students' lives matter based on the color of their skin, and how that intertwines into the context of the world. And so if you're not willing to embrace fully that aspect of our students, and that means talking openly about race and talking about injustices in the world, then I don't know if you're going to be able to like fully like fulfill your responsibilities.
What was her reasoning for being resistant?
She didn't want to teach Black Lives Matter. I don't think that she thinks that the race is a big deal. Oh, okay. So she was just kind of like, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I love kids, so it's fine. I was like, well, no, like, you have to love all of it. And so you have to acknowledge that there is the potential for the person to experience discrimination.
Yeah. Was she fired, or?
Yeah, she left. She would have probably been fired eventually, just based off of, like, mindset. But, yeah, she left.
We need to find that woman. Because it sounds like she was effectively terminated. You can make a case, if they make it so intolerable, you can't work there. But it's because she said, I love kids, and I really don't think race is a big deal. And his message was, no, our student lives matter based on the color of their skin. And if you're not willing to fully embrace that, you're not going to last long under
You'll
him.
be fired if you don't. This is interesting. You'll be fired if you don't do the things that these people we caught on tape are doing. And these people are being let go for what they're saying. But they're saying the school has this position. So yeah, Megyn, it's veritatips@protonmail.com, or you could just send it to Megyn and she'll forward it to me. But if you're a teacher who has been discriminated against at Trinity or this charter school, neighborhood charter schools, or in Cos Cob, were you over the age of 30 or were you Catholic and you applied to work there in the last decade? Reach out to us. You might have a civil rights complaint against these schools.
The email?
Veritas Tips, that's Veritas tips @protonmail.com. We've had thousands of people message us following up Connecticut leads. We'll have more coming out shortly. But if you're a teacher who is discriminated against, we want to hear from you. If you have any tips about fraud or abuse in your school system anywhere in the country, we have a team of 30 undercover reporters that we dispatch every day to go ferret this stuff out.
There is a growing sense of instability and uncertainty in America these days. The price of everything seems to be way up. Food prices, especially, have the nation reeling. But what if you could grow your own food? More and more people are doing this. Let me introduce you to ARC Seed Kits. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't know where to begin, this is where you begin. ARC Seed Kits is a family-owned and operated business providing heirloom seeds for over 13 years now. ARC Seeds wants to get heirloom seeds into every home in America. 99% of seeds sold today do not have the ability to reproduce. Only heirloom seeds can be harvested and regrown year after year. ARC's desire to equip every home in America with the ability to grow and harvest its own food led it to create the all-in-one seed kit. It's designed to grow calorie-dense vegetables and fruits to sustain any home at any time. This is so cool. You're even going to get a seed guide that will give you everything you need to know about growing and harvesting every variety included in the kit. For a limited time, we've partnered with ARC to offer a 10% discount code as well. So if you go to arcseedkits.com and enter MK Seeds, you will get your 10% discount code and be on your way to food and economic security, helping you, your family, and your community. Visit ARC seedkits.com to order your seed kits today. Use that code MK Seeds to get your discount. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.